Welcome back to our Graduate Student Career Excellence series. My name is Megan O'Connor, and I'm a career coordinator here in the USI Career Success Center, and I'm so glad that you're here. Here's a look at how far you've come. In parts 1 and 2, we built your CV, resume, and cover letter. Part 3 optimized your LinkedIn profile. Part 4 gave you a strategic job search framework. Part 5 developed your networking skills. And Part 6 prepared you for behavioral interviews. And in Part 7, you made sure that you never leave money on the table at the offer stage. So now in Part 8, we're going to be focusing on one of the most underutilized assets in your career story, your expanded experience outside your comfort zone. So let's talk about what that experience is really worth. In this session, we'll reframe what beyond your borders actually means for graduate students, including those who can't travel internationally, and then we'll look at the data, explore types of expanded service that employers value, and walk through how to document and communicate those experiences on your resume and in interviews. We'll close with an action plan that's achievable for wherever you are right now. Whether you've worked in another state, volunteered cross-sector, completed a practicum in a community different from your own, or studied abroad, you've built skills that employers will pay a premium for. Let's make sure that you know how to communicate that. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at our roadmap to see where we are in our journey. We started in phase 1. In parts 1 and 2, we worked on our core document creation. In webinars 3 and 4, we focused on our digital presence and job search strategy. In webinar 5, we focused on strategic networking. Then we moved into phase 2 of mastering the market and advancement. In webinar 6, we focused on mastering diverse interview formats. And in webinar 7, we focused on learning how to handle salary negotiations and advocate for your worth using market data. Now, we're going to be talking about global differentiation, how to stand out in the job market through domestic and international professional experiences before we continue on our journey to our series finale. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to start by clearly defining and expanding our definition of beyond your borders, because I don't mean a passport stamp. I mean any experience that asks you to function outside familiar territory professionally, geographically, or culturally. Geographic experience includes out-of-state internships, regional practicums, and working remotely for organizations based far from Evansville. Cross-sector experience means moving between industries, healthcare to nonprofit, corporate to government, even within the same job function. And cultural experiences include serving diverse populations, navigating multilingual environments, or working with communities whose lived experience differed significantly from your own. And here's what the research tells us. Employers don't just value the passport or the plane ticket. They value what the experience required of you: adaptability, problem solving under uncertainty, and communication across difference. So let me be direct with every person in this session. If you've completed a rural health practicum, if you've volunteered with a refugee resettlement program, if you've interned across state lines, that counts fully. And today we're going to help you talk about it like the competitive advantage that it is. Before we talk about how to document your expanded experience, I want to make sure you feel the weight of why this matters, not just anecdotally, but in the data. The National Association of Colleges and Employers 2024 Experiential Education Survey found that students who complete structured experiential learning are 66% more likely to receive full-time job offers. That's not a small margin. That's a transformative difference in hiring odds. And experiential learning includes internships, practicums, fieldwork placements, and meaningful volunteer roles, not exclusively study abroad. Yale's Office of Career Strategy identifies adaptability as a top 5 most sought skill among graduate-level employers. And here's what's critical. Adaptability is not taught in a classroom. It's built when you've had to figure things out in unfamiliar territory. New organization, new community, new geography. Expanded experience is the evidence that you can adapt. GMAC's 2024 Corporate Recruiters Survey found that 77% of MBA graduates report salary increases in roles that leveraged cross-sector and cross-context skills. The market is rewarding this. And the NACE quote on this slide captures it precisely. Experiential learning leads to higher career satisfaction and higher starting salaries. This isn't soft or optional, it's strategic. And I want to make sure that everyone in this webinar series can see themselves in this slide. Not every graduate student can study abroad, and that's okay. What matters to employers is the proof that you can function outside your comfort zone. So let me walk you through 4 types of expanded experience that carry real weight on a resume. The first is out-of-state internships. If you've completed an internship, clinical rotation, or practicum in a different state, that is expanded geographic experience, period. For healthcare, nursing, and social work students, your field placements may have already taken you into communities very different from your own, and that's important. Next is cross-sector volunteer leadership. This is often invisible on resumes because students don't recognize its value. If you've led or participated in volunteer work that cross sectors, a business student organizing a nonprofit fundraiser, a healthcare student managing a food pantry, you've demonstrated exactly the kind of transferable leadership that employers want. Regional and rural experience. Serving in underrepresented communities such as rural health rotations, work in tribal communities, and Appalachian outreach demonstrates cultural competency and adaptability that is highly valued in healthcare, social work, and public administration. And finally, international. And yes, if you have studied abroad, worked internationally, or completed research with global partners, that's powerful. We'll talk about how to document it properly. The bottom line is this. 3 of these 4 categories are fully accessible to every USI graduate student right now, and let's make sure that your resume reflects them. Now let's talk about how to actually document this experience on your resume. I'm pulling from 2 of the gold standards in career development, Yale School of Management's Resume Writing Guide and Harvard's Office of Career Services. First, look at the left-hand column. As always, list your location explicitly. Yale's resume guide is very clear. Never assume your reader knows where an organization is located. Write out city and state for domestic experience and city-country for international. If you did remote work for a distant employer, list their headquarters cities and add remote in parentheses. This seems small, but it signals geographic experience instantly. A recruiter scanning your resume will see it immediately. Now, let's take a look at the right column, which is the SAR bullet framework: situation, action, and result. For bullet points, you can use a variation of STAR called SAR. The situation should note the cross-context element in a rural healthcare setting, serving a multilingual population, in a cross-sector volunteer leadership role. The action is what you did. The result is the impact, ideally quantified. Now let's talk about transferable skills. Harvard's Office of Career Services specifically identifies adaptability, cross-cultural communication, and resourcefulness as the transferable skills that jump out to recruiters when they see expanded experience on a resume. Make sure those words are somewhere, either in bullets or in a skills section. Now let me show you what the transformation looks like in practice. I've pulled 3 examples specifically relevant to USI graduate programs. Look at the before. Completed clinical rotation in rural Indiana. That tells a recruiter almost nothing. Now, look at the after. Same experience, but now we know the patient volume, the setting, the specific challenge, no attending on site, and the skill applied, trauma-informed assessment. The after bullet is a story that proves adaptability. This one, for MBA students, is especially important because many students don't put volunteer work on their resume at all. But look what happens when you apply the SAR framework to that Boys and Girls Club experience. Now it becomes a curriculum design, facilitation, and impact measurement story, exactly what an MBA level candidate should be showing. And finally, let's take a look at an MSW out-of-state example. For the social work student, the magic is in navigating multi-agency systems and cross-cultural family dynamics in an urban setting distinct from prior professional experience. That phrase signals to a recruiter that this person has been tested in unfamiliar territory and performed well. Before this session ends, I want you to take one experience from your background. It doesn't have to be international, and draft a powerful SAR bullet using the after examples as a model. And we'll have time to explore this a little bit more before the end of this webinar. Now let's talk about the interview framework of STAR plus expanded context. The STAR method is well known: situation, task, action, and result. But for expanded experience, I want you to use what I call STAR plus expanded context, which means your situation always explicitly names the cross-context element. This is what signals to the interviewer this person has been tested outside familiar territory. Situation. Always open by naming the context that was unfamiliar. Geographic, cultural, sector. Whatever makes this experience beyond borders. Don't bury it. Lead with it. Task. Name the specific challenge that was heightened by the unfamiliar context. In a comfortable environment, this would have been easy. In this environment, it required real problem solving. Action. This is your proof of adaptability. Be specific. What exactly did you do that demonstrated resourcefulness, cross-cultural communication, or initiative? This is highlighted in red because it's the most important part. And result. Quantify wherever possible. Numbers are always more powerful than adjectives, but if you can't quantify, qualify. The protocol was later adopted as standard practice, is still powerful even without a number. There are some common questions to be aware of. When an interviewer asks you to tell me about a time that you adapted to an unfamiliar environment, they're explicitly inviting you to use the STAR plus expanded context story. These are the questions where your expanded experience wins the role. For an action item, practice one full STAR plus expanded context story before your next interview. Write it out and time yourself. It should flow naturally and be between 90 seconds to 2 minutes. If you're listening to this and thinking, I haven't done any of this yet, good news. There are concrete pathways available to you right now as a USI graduate student. Let's walk through a few examples. The first is to talk to your program director. Many USI graduate programs have existing relationships with clinical, field, or community sites outside the immediate tri-state area. If you request a placement in a rural, underserved, or culturally distinct community, most programs will work with you to make that happen. It requires initiative, which is exactly the trait that you'll be demonstrating. Community partnerships with USI. The Career Success Center has active partnerships with many different organizations. Some examples include the Boys and Girls Club of Evansville, the YWCA, and the Southwest Indiana Workforce Board. These organizations have ongoing needs for graduate-level project leaders, facilitators, and volunteers, roles that generate real SAR bullets. Come see us and we'll make the introduction. Since COVID, remote internships have become a legitimate and valued form of expanded experience. A remote internship with the Chicago-based healthcare system, a Washington, D.C. nonprofit, or a California tech firm is geographic expanded experience. Use Career Launch, Parker Dewey, or even LinkedIn's remote filter, and make sure that your resume labels it correctly. For international programs and those interested in international experience, USI's Office of International Programs has options at various price points and in various different countries, and many qualify for FAFSA financial aid or scholarships. It's definitely worth a conversation. And here's a Microsoft Copilot prompt that you can use tonight to generate even more ideas specific to your program. Copy this exactly and drop in your program name and see what it gives you. For an action item, I recommend that you identify at least one pathway from this slide that you can plan to act on this semester and write it down. Now let's close the content section by naming the bottom line. The research is clear. Expanded experience delivers measurable return on investment to your career, to your salary, and to your professional network. Yale's School of Environment Career Development Program says it directly. Adaptability is the #1 differentiating competency for graduate level candidates, and it comes from experience in unfamiliar contexts, not from coursework. You cannot build adaptability in a classroom. You build it by going somewhere that challenges you. NACE's 2024 data shows that students with structured experiential learning are 85% more likely to receive full-time job offers, and that's the most direct ROI that you can name. Yale's Office of Career Strategy Research shows employees who demonstrate adaptability during hiring are promoted 3 times faster than their peers. This isn't just about getting the job, it's what happens after. And perhaps most undervalued, the relationship you build through cross-context work are often the ones that open the most unexpected doors. The connections made during a rural health placement, a Chicago internship, or a cross-sector volunteer project are often the most durable in your professional network. The research is unanimous. Expanded experience pays. The question is whether your resume, your LinkedIn profile, and your interview stories are making that investment visible to employers. And that's what this session is all about. Let's wrap up Part 8 with your resources and a clear, achievable 7-day action plan. I don't want you to leave inspired but paralyzed. I want you to leave with a clear next step forward and feeling empowered. Remember, the USI Career Success Center is here to help you along your journey. You can reach out to us through Career Launch in your My USI portal to schedule an appointment virtually for Zoom or in person, or you can send us an email. We do resume reviews, LinkedIn profile critiques, and mock interviews specifically designed for graduate level job seekers. And remember, LinkedIn Learning is free. It has excellent modules on showcasing international and cross-sector experience. Career Launch also lets you filter for remote and nationally located positions and even international ones. Parker Dewey is a wonderful resource for virtual micro internships where you can take on short projects that are paid for companies throughout Indiana and beyond, which generates expanded experience fast. Now here's your 7-day plan. On days 1 and 2, identify one expanded experience and write one SAR bullet. On day 3, check every entry on your resume and make sure location is listed in city and state or city and country format. On day 4, research one accessible pathway and schedule an appointment with the Career Success Center. We'll help you build it out. And on days 5 through 7, practice your STAR and expanded context stories out loud. Film yourself if possible and try to get as close to 90 seconds. Do it in the mirror, in the car, wherever. Just make sure you continue to practice until it flows naturally and feels authentic to you. And in Part 9, our series finale, we're going to talk about something that applies to many of you directly: how to use your degree to advance from within your current organization. We'll cover internal promotion conversations, succession planning language, and how to make the ROI of your graduate degree visible to your employer. And that'll be Part 9, Your Degree, Your Moment. Thank you so much for being here. The fact that you're investing time in this series says a great deal about your commitment to your professional future. You've got this. You've just completed Part 8 of 9, Thank you so much for being here. And here's what you're going to be taking with you after today: a broader definition of expanded experience that includes domestic, cross-sector, and community-based opportunities, not just international travel, but also Ivy League validated frameworks for documenting that experience on your resume and CV, a STAR plus expanded context interview approach that you can also use right away, and the research-backed ROI data that shows employers exactly why this experience matters. You're nearly at the finish line. In our series finale, part 9, we'll be diving into your degree and your moment of how you can plan intentionally for internal promotions and bring everything full circle. You've done so much work so far and built impressive skills. So let's talk about how we can leverage your graduate degree to advance within your organization through promotion conversations, succession planning, and strategic salary and title negotiations. The finale is worth the wait. See you in part 9.